Dear students, today we will discuss the last lesson by Alphonse Daudet, and this is the first chapter of the textbook Flamingo for class 12. Now, as the title indicates, this first chapter, the last lesson, has been written by Alphonse Daudet. Before we proceed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, gist of the last lesson. The last lesson is by the author Alphonse Daudet. In the last lesson summary, the author narrates events about the year 1870 when France was captured by Bismarck-led Prussian forces. Now, Prussia at that time included Germany, Austria, and parts of Poland, and there was a war between France and Prussia in the year 1870 and 1871. The Prussian forces were led by their commander, whose name was Bismarck, and he captured two districts of France. Number one is Alsace and number two is Lorraine. Now, furthermore, the Lorraine and Alsace districts went under Prussian rule. So these two districts were captured by Bismarck, who led Prussian forces, and they came under Prussian rule, and France was defeated in these two districts. There was the discontinuation of teaching French in these two districts. Now the Prussian rulers or the Prussian invaders declared or banned teaching of French in French schools of Alsace and Lorraine. There was an order for the French teachers to leave, and so the French teachers were asked to leave the schools in these two districts of Alsace and Lorraine. Consequently, as a result of this, M. Hamel was not able to stay in his old school. So the teacher, M. Hamel, was not able to stay in his old school as he was a French teacher, and French was now banned. The teaching of French was now banned in these two schools. In spite of this, the last lesson from him was full of devotion and sincerity. So, when he delivered his last lesson in the class on his last day, when he was about to leave the school, this lesson was full of devotion, sincerity, and there was a grave silence. And in his classroom, this classroom was attended not only by the students but also the elders of that town. Now, one student of M. Hamel was afraid of him. There was an anticipation of punishment from this student when he came to school that day. Now, there was a student of M. Hamel who was scared of him, who was afraid of him. And this student, he thought that he would be punished by the teacher on his late arrival in the school on that day, but he did not know that this was the last day of M. Hamel in the school. However, he learned that this will be his last lesson. So when he reached the school, he came to know that M. Hamel was taking his last class in the school, and he was going to leave the school next day. Soon he learned that this will be his last lesson. Soon he realized the importance of this subject. Now he realized it came to his mind how important French subject was not only to him but also to the French speaking people. Now, this story, the last lesson, shows us how people feel when they don't learn their language. We don't respect our language when it is being taught to us, but when uh, when this language, when our mother tongue is taken away from us, we suddenly come to realize about its importance. And that's exactly what happens in this classroom when they came to know that this French language would no longer be taught in their schools. Now, the summary of the last lesson. The narration or the narrator of this story or the narration of this story is by a French boy. So the narrator or the storyteller of this lesson, the last lesson, is a French student whose name is Prince. Prince is a lazy boy. He's not interested in his studies. However, in spite of his laziness, Prince likes to play and is of a sensitive nature. Furthermore, Franz hates his teacher M. Hamel in his school and has no interest in studying French. Now, this French is a lazy boy and he's not interested in learning French. So, as his teacher M. Hamel is a strict one, Franz hates him and he takes no interest in learning French or in studying French in the school. Now, an order has come from Berlin. Now, remember that Berlin is the capital of Prussia. An order has come from Berlin after taking over the districts of Alsace and Lorraine in France that the German language rather than the French should be taught in the schools there. Furthermore, it is the school French teacher M. Hamel's it is the school French teacher M. Hamel's last day. This teacher has been working there for 40 years. Moreover, the teacher has feelings of patriotism. He is a very patriotic person. He loves France. He is also full of nostalgia and grief. The village men also attend his last lesson so as to honor and respect him. The village is regretting and is sad that they didn't learn their mother tongue in their childhood. Now, when the districts of Alsace and Lorraine were taken over by the Prussian forces, uh, an order came from the capital city of Prussia. The capital city of Prussia was Berlin in those days. And there came an order from Berlin that French language would no longer be taught, or it is banned to teach French language in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine districts. Instead of French language, the German language would take over, or the German language would be taught to the students instead of French language. Thus, this has an adverse effect, or this arouses a feeling of patriotism among the students of the class, M. Hamel himself, and also the adults of the districts of Alsace and Lorraine. So some adults also attend M. Hamel's class on his last day in the school. They, the village is regretting that they did not love the way their love their mother tongue French the way they should have loved it. So they are full of regret for this thing. Now France receives a big shock when he learns that this is his last lesson in French. So when France reaches the school, this news came as a big shock, a bolt from Billy for him when he comes to know that this would be his last lesson in French in the school. He is shocked because he does not know French. Furthermore, on learning about the last lesson, a sudden interest arises in him for learning French. Moreover, he pays careful attention and learns everything taught on this last day. Now, when French comes to know that this would be his last lesson in French, he is shocked naturally, and a sort of love and interest arouses him for learning French. And he uh, takes his class very seriously on this last day. He pays careful attention to the class and learns everything taught on this last day. And he comes to know, it becomes evident to him that this French was not as difficult as he thought earlier. It was an easy language, and but the only thing he lacked was his lack of interest in learning this language. Instantly, he develops liking for the teacher M. Hamel, and he disliked his teacher M. Hamel. But on this day, he develops a love for this teacher. His feelings of hatred for him suddenly came to an end. Moreover, Franz develops respect for the hard work and sincerity of his teacher. Franz is sad and ashamed for being unable to recite his lesson. Now, his hatred for M. Hammer is replaced by sincere love. So he started loving M. Hammer instead of hating him. And there also develops a lot of respect for M. Hamel because of his hard work and sincerity towards his profession. Now, Franz is sad and ashamed for being unable to recite his lesson. There is a reflection of his patriotism in his praise for the French language. He says that the French language is the most logical and beautiful language in the world. It seems that M. Hamel got emotional on this occasion. So it was a natural thing that M. Hamel became emotional uh, on this last day in the school, and a sense of patriotism is seen when he praises French language, and he tells the audience includes his students in the class and the elders of, uh, of the area who had come to uh, give their respect to this to M. Hamel on this day, and he says that the French language is the most logical and beautiful language in the world. It seems that M. Hamel got emotional on this occasion. Furthermore, he asks the class to guard their language and he requests them to protect their language. He says that being close to one's language is a way to escape the clutches of slavery. And he makes this point clear to him that if they safeguard or protect or preserve their language, it means they have keys to keys to freedom and they can escape the clutches of slavery. This language will assist them in attaining freedom from the Germans. The people realize the significance of their mother tongue. Moreover, they feel the reason for their defeat is illiteracy. And they now come to know, they now realize, it comes to their senses that they have been defeated, and the main reason for their defeat is illiteracy. France feels that it is impossible to remove one's language from a person. Now, France, as a student, now feels that it is very difficult, or it is impossible, rather impossible, to remove one's language from his heart, from a person's heart. This is because it is something that is natural to a person. And he realizes that one's language is something that is innate, that's inborn for a person, and it cannot be taken away from him. This means that no matter how hard the opposition may try, they will fail to remove one's language. So, this thing that it is that one's language is natural to a person, it means that the opposition, the oppositors, the invaders may try very hard to remove one's language, but they will always fail to do so. Now, conclusion of the lesson. Now, as we came to know that the last lesson summary reflects on the importance of one's language for any race, and this lesson also shows us that this lesson also shows us why it is crucial to safeguard one's mother tongue or one's language. This was today's lesson. Thank you.